Chronicles of Terra. Chapter 1. The Great War. In ancient Terra, a world full of wonders and mysteries, life arose thanks to 6 ancients, 2 of them the most powerful, and the other 4 their descendants. Elysia, the Ancient of Light, radiated kindness and hope. Her mere presence illuminated the surroundings, and her elemental stone of light ensured healthy and vibrant births, infusing positivity and joy. Nurus, the Ancient of Darkness, represented death and judgment. In the depths of his dark eyes, one could see the eternal realm or the void, destinations determined by the actions of each being in life. His elemental stone of darkness guided souls to their final destiny. Ignis, the Ancient of Fire, was the symbol of courage and strength. With his blazing fire, he forged tools and edifices, and his elemental stone taught the inhabitants of Terra to use fire in a constructive and safe manner. Nyevia, the Ancient of Water, brought calm and health. Her currents flowed serenely, healing wounds and curing illnesses. Her elemental stone controlled the seas and brought beneficial rains that nourished the land. Venthor, the Ancient of Air, was the guardian of balance and introspection. With his elemental stone, Venthor provided wind for navigators, powered mills, and ensured that fresh air circulated throughout Terra. Jessia, the Ancient of Earth, promoted fertility and stability. Her elemental stone guaranteed abundant harvests, protected nature, and favored livestock farming, ensuring that the land was always in balance. The ancients imparted valuable lessons and teachings to us. However, instead of being content with what we knew, we decided to go beyond what was already known. Our ambition drove us to expand our knowledge of the elemental stones, seeking to unravel their deepest secrets. This quest for power and understanding pushed us to explore beyond the known limits. This is how we earned the contempt of our Elfmere brothers and the other races of Terra. In their mouths, the term Kivary became a derogatory label used to refer to us as exiles. Despite being rejected and marginalized, our determination never waned. While the liner offered prayers to their beloved Elysia, and the other races learned to master the elements to heat their homes and build their towns, we, the Kivary, had already explored and studied the elemental stones in depth. We had attained considerable knowledge of their workings and applications. Yet our ambition did not stop there. We defied the edict of the ancients by seeking something beyond what we were permitted to discover, the gift of immortality, which only they possessed. Nurus, the Ancient of Darkness, once told us that in immortality lies monotony, and in eternity, the absence of purpose. He taught us that, by granting mortality to the beings of Terra, he did not deprive us of infinity, but gifted us the intensity of the finite. Only those who know the end can truly appreciate every moment. Only those who face death can embrace life with all its fervor. Mortality is the beacon that guides beings in their search for meaning, a reminder that every breath is an unrepeatable miracle, and every day is an opportunity to forge a legacy that transcends time. But we did not agree with Nurus's vision. His claim that immortality brought monotony and emptiness seemed to us a convenient excuse to deny us a gift that would have allowed us to explore the elemental stones endlessly and achieve unimaginable advancements. While the other races accepted mortality as a natural limit, we saw in immortality an opportunity to study eternally and uncover deep secrets that would change our understanding of the world. Our practices were seen as unnatural by many, a predictable reaction from those who live in ignorance. However, this ignorance bred fear, and that fear triggered excessive violence against us. While we mastered vast knowledge of magic, they chose to counter our power by creating machines. This inevitable conflict escalated into what is now remembered as the Great War. The war dragged on for 2 years. wearing down both sides in an endless conflict. As time went on, we began to feel the weight of our numerical disadvantage. Faced with the overwhelming superiority of our enemies, our numbers were insufficient. We were less than half the size of the Elfmere, and we couldn't even imagine facing all the other races that had united against us. The pressure grew more intense, and our resistance began to crumble under the relentless siege of our adversaries. Faced with such overwhelming force and the depletion of our resources, the morale of the Kivary was at an all-time low. The fear of a terrible fate loomed over us, and despair became palpable. Amid this chaos, a Kivary sorcerer emerged, standing out for his audacity and determination. His name was Vorghal. Vorghal proposed a sacrifice that promised to be the key to our survival. His plan was so radical that few understood its full extent. He spoke of a ritual in which his own body, blood, and soul would be fused with those of a dragon that had fallen in battle. This ritual, according to Vorghal, would create a unique entity with enough power to challenge the other races and secure our victory. He described the ritual in detail, revealing to the Kivary a process so dark and profane that some even feared to carry it out. The ceremony, shrouded in shadows and secrets, promised to merge the essences of Vorghal and the dragon into a formidable being. As the Kivary debated its implementation, the echoes of voices and growls from the void began to resonate, amplifying the fear and uncertainty in the air. Finally, despite the fear and opposition, the decision was made to proceed with the ritual. The fate of the Kivary hung by a thread, and desperation drove us to embrace this last hope. While the Elfmere, the Liner, the humans, and the other races had defeated most of the most powerful Kivary sorcerers and were advancing beyond our last line of defense, Vorghal's ritual was in its final stage. Amid this desperate resistance, an event occurred that the oldest and wisest Kivary, those who survived the horrors of the Great War, describe as terrifying. The sky turned red, and even the sun itself took on a crimson hue. Vorghal, having abandoned his original form, fused with the remains of the fallen dragon. His skin, once green, turned as black as the night itself. His eyes, once ordinary, now glowed with a purple radiance, and his scales gleamed with a supernatural hue. A thick and ominous aura surrounded him, intensifying his presence. His roar, deafening and filled with overwhelming power, echoed across the battlefield, instilling deep fear in the hearts of our enemies. It was then that the ancients decided to intervene directly. Gessia used her power to stabilize the earth, sealing the enormous cracks opened by the explosions and tremors shaking the world. Nyevia, with her mastery over water, and Venthor, with his control over the air, joined forces to extinguish the devastating fires that had ravaged fields and homes. Ignis confronted Vorghal's purple fire with his own divine flame, battling intensely to bring Vorghal down from the skies. Finally, Elysia unleashed her rays of light to weaken the monster, while Nura stared at him, disintegrating him and condemning his soul to the void. At the end of the battle, we all knelt before the ancients and solemnly swore never again to use the elemental stones for selfish purposes. They made it clear that this would be the first and last time they would intervene in the affairs of mortals. They warned us that if we did not learn from this catastrophe we had caused and once again used the stones for forbidden purposes, they would let Terra face its sorrowful end. To prevent a catastrophic end, the races of Terra created the Sacred Order of the Ancients, a brotherhood tasked with protecting the elemental stones and preserving balance. The Grand Master, supreme leader of the Order, along with the masters of each kingdom, oversee the actions of the Brotherhood and ensure that the teachings of the ancients are respected. The Knights of Balance, warriors trained in both magic and combat, are responsible for guarding the stones and ensuring they are used only in times of true need. Meanwhile, the Adepts, young people dedicated to studying and transmitting the teachings of the ancients, as well as assisting the towns and helping with illnesses, begin their training under the guidance of the masters. A little over 5 centuries have passed since those dark days of the Great War, and we, the Kivary, remain in exile, marked by the shadow of our past and the burden of our actions. But the time has come to say, enough. To be continued.